You are scared, and I'm here to help you. This is News with the Eyes of Faith. I'm going to talk about some of the things you can do to help weather this financial storm we're in. So it's normally a news story, but due to the crisis situation, I'm going to talk about some principles. Now, your 401k is probably evaporated. Mine has. My personal portfolio is shrunk substantially. And you're feeling it right now, and you're wondering what you can do. Will you survive this? And this is a shared storm. We're all in this. And first thing to do with these tariffs, it's a negotiation tool. Other countries have been taking us to the cleaners for decades, and there's asymmetric tariffs where we pay more tariffs than they do. And this is to level the playing ground. This is fair trade, and one standard, and removing this double standard on tariffs. Now, you remember the Harvard Business Review. Here's this article from Harvard Business Review, Disruptive Innovation from Clayton Christensen. This is an instance of that. This is what disruptive innovation looks like. It's going to get scary for a little bit, but I'm going to talk about what you can do. First of all, this is time to look at your financial situation. Just sit back there, shut off the denial. People can... Denial is a bit like the screensaver that just flips on when someone doesn't want to process something. Right now, this is not a time to deny things, to go in denial. It's time to look seriously at what's going on. Here are some tools. This you buy these books or read them or understand the principle. They're going to help you. First one is this basic book called The Richest Man of Babylon by George Clausen. And you'll learn principles of managing money. So if you're a Christian and the expression Babylon bothers you, just forgive him. Just give him a freebie on that one. Some of the things in the book you learn are the 5 laws of gold and rules of acquisition. There's 7 rules right here. They're in the book. You can find these on the internet, and we're all in this together. So I'm not going to be hoggy or snarky about this. There's other people out there who can help you. We all want to help each other. Another book that's helpful is this book called The 5 Lessons a Millionaire Taught Me About Life and Wealth by Richard Paul Evans. That's the guy who wrote the Christmas box. Okay, these will give you the tools to get your life under control. You want a quick cheat sheet with finances. Here's Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. You can find these on Dave Ramsey's site. He's generous. He's rich. He doesn't need the money. He gives his stuff away for free. This is the time to get on a written budget. This is one from the Richard Paul Evans book. You can see how it has the money. Here's from Dave Ramsey's books. That's a quickie. This is his quickie budget. He also has an app there, but you're scared enough to start doing the right thing. This is also part of a broader issue with life management. Remember this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People from the 1980s and 1990s? Take a look at this book. 7 habits, did you say? 8th habit. And another one for time management. This is 10 Natural Laws of Successful Time and Life Management by Hiram Smith. I just handed you some stuff that you look at those, you're just going to start feeling calm and peace about that. You're able to make decisions. This podcast is devoted to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but everyone here is welcome. I put a link to the Church's Personal Finances Self-Reliance Manual. It's a PDF you can download, read it on your tablet or on your computer. There's help there. Here's their diagram. Let me get this up. And just do a gallery. But you don't have to feel scared. There's ways that... here it is. That the Church's manual. Here's a diagram. Here's the 5 steps. Dave Ramsey has 7 baby steps. The Church has 5. So it's in the manual. You can find this diagram to get things under control. Pay tithes and offerings. Protect your family from hardship. That's your do an emergency fund in your checking account, and then your money market account has the 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Eliminate your debt, not reduce it, eliminate it. Take that weasel, snap its neck, shove its head in the garbage disposal, and leave it in there on high for about 3 hours. Get rid of your debt, and you save and build wealth for the future. And step 5 is to continue to give and bless the lives of others. How you feeling now? You feel like you can, if you're not in a mess, you can see the light. This is the time to have a couples and family meeting about finances. Look at this as an opportunity. Finally, you're motivated to do the right thing. Finally, to take charge of your life. Now, this is also, like I said, it was an opportunity, but it's also an opportunity for something else. So if you're in a situation where you've been following the principles in these books or some other financial advisor that you've been following, you're in a good situation. You can weather this storm without having any problems. Think about this. Stocks are lower, and this is a golden opportunity to buy the stocks you've been holding off on due to high prices. Buy low, sell high. Of course, always do your research and buy the common sense stocks. Don't get these wildcat things. I want to tell you a story. You remember the crisis in 2008? Can you remember the pandemic? We had a similar situation in 9/11. But in 2008, I was in the airport. I ran into a friend of mine, and he's into real estate. And he told me that with the crisis going on and people just having to sell stuff because of the financial situation, he'd run his business on sound financial principles. The Dave Ramsey stuff your grandma and grandpa told you, hopefully stuff your church is teaching you, if any place, but the person you're listening to. And he's just able to buy up all these properties at a fire sale rates. It's the same thing for you. If you get your life in order for the next crisis, you're going to be in a similar situation where you can be in charge, and this is just a great opportunity to prosper. I saw the stock had my eyes on, and I was able to buy it yesterday. And you too can be in that situation. We're always going to have down cycles and up cycles, and weather this, make the changes for the next cycle. You're not going to have to sweat anything. So remember, this is a time of opportunity. Reinvent yourself, perfect your finances, have a deep talk with your spouse or with your family that you've been putting off. Get the marriage counseling you need. Remember that markets adjust, and so can you. But lastly, this is the time to look at your relationship with God, with Heavenly Father. Is the reason why you're in a financial hole is because something's not quite right. You're not square with yourself. You've been flipping on the denial screensaver and just, I'm happy right now. No, I hope this is a wake-up call that you can look upward and get everything in order and follow these sound financial principles. I just gave you a great success library for personal and life success. So take a look at it, and you're just going to feel great once you get in there. So that is crisis management. Let's get to the news blips. Sundance has left Utah. This is another case of disruptive opportunity where you have the film Sundance going, but there's still the infrastructure in there to manage the film festival. So the film festival can go on just under a different name and under different ownership. As always, train your eye to look for the eye of faith. Train your eye. This is news with the eye of faith. And train your eyes to look for opportunities in every problem. And you're training yourself to look for solutions instead of excuses and denial. So Sundance left Utah. Utah passed a flag ban, which may be why Sundance left. And, of course, for some reason, people are focused on the LGBTQ flags. But the ban includes Donald Trump flags and MAGA flags, MAGA flags, too. But that's not being reported, is it? And why isn't it? It's just state, and then tribal, and then military flags, but none of the activist flags. So it's fairness for all. Everything's being banned right now. So we're focusing on the country, on the main mission instead of political activism. Because remember, it's anyone can hijack a school, and because of the color or the power of discretion, the office they hold, they can do whatever they want. But let's just say, okay, let's just make this fair for all and ban everything: Trump flags, LGBTQ flags, and focus on educating our kids. And maybe that's the reason we've been having some problems with education. Senator Cory Booker booked a record 25-hour speech. So congratulations to an African American for breaking Strom Thurmond's record and having the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome ever. Also this week, Trump, Bill Maher, and Kid Rock met for lunch together, and that was a missed opportunity for pay-per-view. I would have loved to have watched that. So the tariffs kicked in on April 2nd. That is called, Donald Trump called it Liberation Day, and that's good persuasion. Remember, this is disruptive. It's going to be a little bit painful, but this is a negotiating tactic to get a more equitable footing on tariffs. It's a long time in coming. Yeah, follow those sound financial principles, and you'll be able to weather this storm. It'll become an opportunity to you. So the Salt Lake Trib published this story. Why the LDS Church soon may not need tithing anymore to cover its global programs. As an endowment, invested reserves are sufficient to fund the church programs forever. Independent analysis concludes. If donations stop completely, apparently it's at this one report that hasn't been corroborated, hasn't been peer reviewed, says that the church has $200 billion. Now note, this was reported on April Fool's Day, and this was reported before the stock market collapse that we're all going through. So just think about that estimate. Oh yeah. Then one day the stock rises at this, and then you have the stock market crash right now. Okay, so pay attention to the prognostications, the reading the crystal balls, and calling your astrologer the 1-900 number astrologer. And also pay attention to the weasel words. Could be. Okay? That's sort of like one of these things the lawyer tells you to say to protect yourself. Could be. Now it's interesting to note that the church had a stock portfolio back in the days of Wilford Woodruff. I finished reading the journals of Wilford Woodruff, and they mentioned that as once the church was granted amnesty for polygamy and church properties and funds were released back to the church, that's one of the things Wilford Woodruff mentioned. So this isn't nothing new. It's been going on there since the days of Wilford Woodruff. So $200 billion, thou shalt not covet. I know some people are ticked off, so they don't pay tithing, but they say they're giving their tithing to other more worthy institutions. And as J. Golden Kimball is reported to have said, you're having a heck of a time spending the Lord's money. So it's not quite been a slow news day, but it's really been disruptive and chaotic. I covered everything at the beginning with how to manage your finances in this time of crisis and uncertainty. There's a way out. There's basic financial principles that everyone follows, and when you follow these, you're just going to feel great because you're just going to feel like you're in control of the situation. No more stress. I'd like to talk about a little bit about wisdom. Now, there's a distinction between knowledge, wisdom, intelligence, and feelings of the heart. Sometimes, you've talked about this model about feelings, fairness, and friends is what motivates the left, and the political right is motivated by facts, fidelity, and family. And you sometimes see when people on the left, what they do is when they get together, they describe their feelings one to another. It's something that's internal versus the outside reality. They're watching this internal movie in their head, which, of course, it's self-talk and catastrophizing. And the problem that you get when you're just thinking things through in your head, you get these silos of sentiment, these isolated emotional attachments to contradictory things. Now I'm going to read this lengthy quote by G.K. Chesterton in his book, Orthodoxy. G.K. Chesterton, that was my alarm telling me to do what I'm already doing right now. I love those alarms. But G.K. Chesterton, he's British, so kind of meat. It's like when you read James E. Talmage. But I'm going to read this quote of his. He talks about the new rebel. But the new rebel is a skeptic. It will not entirely trust anything. He has no loyalty, therefore he can never be really a revolutionist. And the fact that he doubts everything really gets in the way when he wants to denounce anything. For all denunciation implies a moral doctrine of some kind, and the modern revolutionist doubts not only the institution he denounces, but denounces the doctrine by which he denounces it. So think about that. So when you become a radical skeptic, you're just denouncing everything, including the process by which you became a skeptic. Thus, he writes one book complaining that imperial oppression insults the purity of woman. Then he writes another book about the sex problem in which he insults it himself. He curses the Sultan because Christian girls lose their virginity. Then he curses Mrs. Grundy because they keep it. As a politician, he will cry out that war is a waste of life. Then as a philosopher, that all life is a waste of time. A Russian pessimist will denounce a policeman for killing a peasant, then prove by the highest philosophical principles that the peasant ought to have killed himself. A man denounces marriage as a lie, then he denounces aristocratic profligates for treating it as a lie. He calls a flag a bauble. Wait a minute, this flag ban in Utah. He calls a flag a bauble, then blames the oppressors of Poland and Ireland because they take away that bauble. That's every time we think about the double standard with the American flag and the pride flag. So if you burn an American flag, free speech, but if you burn a pride flag, which I do not advocate burning pride flags. But if someone were to burn a pride flag, that would become a hate crime, and that's a double standard. Remember, I do not advocate burning pride flags or American flags. He calls the flag a bauble, then blames the oppressors of Poland or Ireland because they take away that bauble. The man of this school goes first to a political meeting where he complains that savages are treated as if they're wild beasts. He takes his hat and umbrella and goes on to a scientific meeting where he proves that practically they are beasts. Evolution. In short, the modern revolutionist, being an infinite skeptic, is always engaged in undermining his own minds. In his book on politics, he attacks men for trampling on morality. In his book on ethics, he attacks morality for trampling on men. Therefore, the modern man in revolt has become practically useless for all purposes of revolt. By rebelling against everything, he has lost his right to rebel against anything. Now, remember when I talk about this is that it's a shifting ground tactic. Confuseocracy is the word I use, where, okay, this, but it's just an incoherent, you're talking, it's just so incoherent, it doesn't make any sense. Marriage oppresses a woman, but we need to have homosexual marriages. Well, wait a second. I thought marriages are oppressing. I noticed that in the 1990s, but G.K. Chesterton picked up on that. But he was a Catholic, and he may have got this idea from Jesus Christ. And the Lord said, "Whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation? To what are they like? They're likened to children sitting in the marketplace and calling one to another and saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept." Once again, the double standard. You need to burn the American flag, but burning the pride flag is a hate crime. And I do not advocate burning either flags. For John the Baptist came neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and you say he hath a devil. The Son of Man is coming eating and drinking, and you say, Behold, a gluttonous man, and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of all her children. That's from Luke 7:31. So I want you to think about this is the reason why confuseocracy is so effective, especially in this time of crisis where markets adjust, we will recover. I lived in the 1970s with stagflation and double-digit inflation. I lived through the 80s economic boom. I lived the dot-com boom. I lived through the recession of 9/11, the recession in 2008, the recession of the pandemic, and we've always recovered. I have a degree in history, not economics, but history, and I see that. And so I'm just feeling confidence markets will adjust and we'll be able to manage this. So there will be some short-term disruption, but that's normal. That's always happens when you have challenges like these, but we will succeed. And following these principles I talked about, you will succeed. So that's it. I hope you're feeling confident after the things I've said and you take them to heart. And this is News with the Eyes of Faith.